One of them has $410,000 in index funds. The other has $38,000 and a nicer car. Same company, same salary, same city. Both of them are 38 years old, both earning $78,000 a year. They park in the same lot every morning. They eat lunch in the same building. The difference isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't a side hustle or an inheritance or a secret the first person is keeping from everyone else. It's 6 rules. 6 specific behaviors that one of them follows quietly, consistently, without anyone watching, that the other one has never heard spoken out loud. Not because the rules are complicated. Because they're boring, they don't go viral, nobody makes a video about them. Nobody gets credit for following them. That's what boring looks like over 6 years on the same salary. Today, I'm going to show you all 6. And before I'm done with the first one, you'll have something specific to do this week. Most people look at a situation like this and ask, what do wealthy people know that I don't? That's not the right question, because these rules aren't a secret. Most people watching this have heard versions of all 6. The real question is, what do quietly wealthy people do that most people won't because nobody's watching when they do it? No applause. No reaction, no post about it, just the math running quietly in the background. That's what this is about. 6 rules, let's run the math. Rule 1. And this one alone is worth roughly $128,000. 1 in 4 workers, 25%, don't contribute enough to their 401k to capture their full employer match. According to financial engines, that adds up to $24 billion in unclaimed matching contributions every single year in this country. $24 billion in free money that people walked past. Here's what that looks like on one salary. $78,000 a year. A 4% employer match, that's $3,120 a year free. Not a bonus you earned, not a raise you negotiated, free. Waiting for you to claim it. If you're contributing less than 4%, say you're at 1 or 2%, which is exactly where Marcus is, you're not capturing the full match. $3,000 plus a year left on the table. Over 20 years at 7%, that uncaptured match alone compounds to roughly $128,000. $128,000 from a form you haven't filled out yet. If you're earning $50,000 with a 4% match, the number is smaller, $2,000 a year, but the math is identical. 100% return on day 1. There is no investment on earth that matches this. Here's what to do this week. Pull up your last pay stub, the one on your phone or in your email. Find the line that shows your 401k contribution percentage. If it's below your employer's match threshold, one HR form changes it. 10 minutes, that's all this costs. Before I show you the other 6 rules, this is the one I want you to carry out of here, even if you stop watching right now. Capturing the match gets the free money in. Rule 2 is about keeping it there before your brain has a chance to spend it. The U.S. personal savings rate in December 2025 was 3.6%. The long-run historical average is 8.4%. That's a gap of nearly 5 percentage points, and it has nothing to do with income. It's not that Americans are earning less. It's that the money appears in the account and then life happens to it. The money you never see, you never spend, that's not a motivational line. It's behavioral architecture. It's what happens when you set up an automatic transfer on payday so the investment moves before the balance registers, before the weekend plans form, before you've decided what the money is for. Danny, the one with $410,000, set up a $400 automatic transfer to index funds when she was 32. She'd been putting something away since her first job, not a lot, not enough, but 32 was when she automated it and stopped thinking about it. She didn't decide every month whether to invest. She decided once. The account grew without a single additional choice. Nobody congratulated her for that. There was no moment, no post. The money just moved, month after month, without anyone watching. That's the whole point. If 400 isn't your number, pick your number. 50 a month, 100. Whatever clears your fixed costs, the automation matters more than the amount right now. Here's the number most people never calculate. $119,813. That's what the gap between an average new car payment and an average used car payment becomes invested at 7% over 20 years. That's what most people never see because they're only looking at the monthly number. Rule 3, and it's the biggest quiet wealth leak in the data. The average new car payment in the fourth quarter of 2025 was $767 a month, according to Experian. The average used car payment, $537. The gap is $230 a month, $2,760 a year. And if that gap is invested instead 20 years at 7%, it becomes $119,813, not from a different career, not from a windfall, from a car choice. Now, look at what the people who actually have money drive. 61% of households earning $250,000 or more drive non-luxury brands. 92% of self-made millionaires don't own luxury vehicles. 55% of them buy only used, not because they can't afford the upgrade, because they did the math. Marcus is paying $767 a month on his 2024 SUV. Every feature, everything he wanted. Danny paid off her 2019 Civic 2 years ago. Her coworkers assume she's doing okay. She has $410,000 in index funds. The car in the parking lot tells you what someone chose to show. It tells you nothing about what they kept, right? For the 10-year version, that same $230 a month gap invested for 10 years at 7% is $39,810. Still not nothing. Still a number worth running. So what happens when income goes up? Rule 4 answers that, and the answer is going to surprise some people. 41% of earners between $300,000 and $500,000 report living paycheck to paycheck. That's according to a 2025 Goldman Sachs survey. 40% of those earning above $500,000, 41%. The same percentage as many households earning a fraction of that. Here's what's happening. Credit card companies charge roughly 22 APR on revolving balances. Index funds have returned roughly 7% real over the long run. Every dollar that funds a visible lifestyle at 22% interest is a dollar not compounding at 7. And when income goes up, the lifestyle upgrades. The apartment, the car, the wardrobe, the restaurants, the spending scales with the salary, and the gap between what comes in and what gets kept stays exactly the same. And look, nobody had to teach people to do this. The environment did it. The first thing most people do when income goes up is make it visible. A new car, a nicer neighborhood, something that shows the raise happened. Not because they made a deliberate decision, because that's what everyone around them did. The rules in this video work at $50,000 a year. They work at $300,000. The math is percentages, not dollar amounts, and the stakes of ignoring them only get larger as income grows. Now, Rule 5 is about something more specific than that. I want to stop here for a second, because everything I've shown you so far could feel like spending is the enemy. It's not. The Goldman Sachs report calls it lifestyle inflation, luxuries becoming necessities without any single deliberate decision. No one moment where you said yes. A dozen quiet defaults that added up to $1,000 a month you never consciously chose. The streaming service that auto-renewed for 3 years. The gym membership charging monthly since 2022. The restaurant that became a weekly habit because it was easier than cooking on a Tuesday. None of these are extravagant. None of them required a decision. They just happened, and they kept happening. Here's the distinction that matters. A vacation you planned, saved for, and chose, that's a decision. A subscription you forgot existed, a car payment you took because that's what people do when they get promoted, a lifestyle that inflated by $800 a month without a single moment where you said, yes, that's a default. That's a default. This isn't about never spending. Quiet, wealthy people spend. They travel, they eat well, they buy things they enjoy. They just choose every dollar. The difference between a decision and a default is whether the spending survived a moment of actual consideration. If you looked at it, knew what it cost, and still said, yes, that's a decision. Own it. You see that distinction? If you looked at your bank statement last month and found $200 in charges you couldn't specifically account for, that's a default. And that's what Rule 5 is asking you to notice. If you're watching this and thinking you've run out of time, this rule is for you. Rule 6, and the math is going to say something you might not be expecting. $500 a month at 7% from age 30 to 65 is $900,527. That's what 35 years of consistent investing produces at that contribution level. The same 500 a month, starting at 43, investing through to 65, 22 years is 312,000. 323. 312,323. Not the same number, but not zero. Not close to zero. And here's the thing, that number is waiting. It doesn't exist yet. You haven't started yet. The 312,000 is entirely in the future, and the future hasn't happened. Here's the mechanism. Every month you don't start isn't a month of 500 lost. It's the compounding on that 500 that doesn't arrive. If you're in your 30s right now, the math is almost embarrassingly generous. Time does the majority of the work. Your contributions are almost secondary to the years. Start wherever you are and the compounding takes over. If you're entering your 40s, you have 20 plus years. 312,000 is real money. It changes what retirement looks like. It changes what an emergency looks like. It changes the math on staying in a job you hate or leaving. And if 500 a month isn't your number right now, 100 a month invested at 7% for 20 years becomes $52,093. That's a down payment. That's an emergency fund that changes what's possible when something goes wrong. That's not a consolation prize. That's a real number that a real person built by starting with what they had. The amount matters less than the years. The years matter less than starting. The years, 6 rules, 6 places where the quiet choice compounds and the visible choice costs. Let me show you what they add up to. Here's the mechanism. Every dollar spent on appearance above what something actually does has a compound cost. The extra $230 a month for the newer car, that's not just money out the door. That's the $119,000 that doesn't arrive in 20 years. The uncaptured match, that's not just $3,000 a year. That's the roughly $128,000 that doesn't compound. Every dollar kept invisible has a compound reward. The 4 to 100 automatic transfer that moved before Danny saw it. The paid-off Civic that nobody in the parking lot finds impressive. The 401k contribution at 6% that cost her one HR form 6 years ago. The compounded dollar value of not needing anyone to see your wealth, that's what I call the silence premium. It's the mathematical gap between performing wealth and building it. And over a career, that gap is the difference between retiring at 55 and working until 70 because you don't have a choice. Quiet isn't a personality, it's a financial strategy. And the numbers are on its side. Here's what to do with all of this. This week, 2 things. First, check your pay stub. Find your 401k contribution percentage. If it's below your employer's match threshold, contact HR and change it. 10 minutes. That single form, if you haven't done it yet, is worth more than any other financial move you'll make this week. Second, set up one automatic transfer on payday to a savings account, an investment account, an index fund, wherever makes sense for where you are. Start with whatever clears your fixed costs, 50, 100, 200. Set the amount, set the date, walk away. The automation matters more than the number. This month, 2 more things. Pull your last 3 months of bank statements and total your actual transportation costs. Not just the car payment, the insurance, the gas, the maintenance, the registration. Most people have never seen that number as a single figure. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Then run one compound interest calculation with your real numbers. Your current monthly savings amount times 7% times the number of years to 65. Any free calculator online does this in 5 minutes. That number, whatever it is more useful than not knowing it. If it's motivating, let it motivate you. If it's a wake-up call, let it wake you up. Both are useful. Neither is as bad as not running the math at all. And look, wherever you're starting from, the math still runs. If your number right now is 50 a month, that's your number. 50 a month for 20 years at 7% is $26,046, not $1 million. But a real number. A number that changes what an emergency looks like. Start there, adjust when you can. The direction matters more than the speed. If you're in your 30s, the compounding math is working harder for you than for anyone else in this video. The most valuable thing you can do is start. If you're in your 40s, 312,000 is still out there. 500 a month, 22 years, 7%. The number is real. It's waiting. If you're past 50, the math still works. The time frame is shorter. The urgency is higher. But the automation, the match, the decision versus default distinction, all of it still applies and it still compounds. Back to that parking lot. Same company, same morning. Danny pulls in her 2019 Civic. Marcus pulls in his 2024 SUV, $767 a month, payment due in 4 days. The coworkers who notice think they know something about both of them. Danny's doing okay. Marcus is doing well. They're wrong about both. And I want you to sit with that for a second, not because it's surprising, but because you've probably been in that parking lot. Danny has $410,000 that nobody in that parking lot knows about. Marcus has $38,000 and a car that looks like more. Same salary, same city, same decade. The difference is 6 rules, boring, quiet, invisible, that one of them follows because the math told her to, not because anyone was watching. The rules aren't complicated. The math isn't complicated. Are you building wealth or are you building the appearance of wealth? The rules don't care which one you choose, but the math keeps the score.